Mauricio Sulaiman breaking the news. TGB Promotions has won the rights to promote Nordine Oubaali versus Nonito Donaire with a bid of $401,000 for the WBC bantamweight title. Obviously, first off, glad this fight's made. It's a great fight. Maybe not the fight I would have made for Nonito Donaire coming off the loss, though, because I think like any fight against top 5 guys off of that type of performance and a loss, just a tough ask for anyone.
This is a perfect fight to come back to.
Maybe it is. I mean, if he wins, it is. But if he doesn't, it would be, you just took on a really tough guy, come off a loss, and a fight of the year performance. Maybe that wasn't the smartest decision. But it's sad that this got won by just a bid of $401,000 that they're going to split. I mean, that makes what Oubaali's going to win. He's going to make what? Oh, because the WBC. Hold on, I forgot this aspect to it. Sorry. Mr. Sulaiman saying WBC rules for a purse bid has 10% of the bid set aside as a bonus for the winner of the fight. This innovation gives greater incentive for both fighters to win the fight. So whoever's going to win gets a 60-40 split. I mean, so you're making what? $280,000, something like that?
No, less than 250.
Oh, less than 250?
Yeah. Donaire's getting about 160.
Oh, man. And it's a tough fight. I'm like, this. It's,
for who?
For both guys, I think. Rob, you're tripping. I know you think this is an easy fight for Donaire. It isn't. It's not an easy fight for Donaire.
I'm picking Donaire right here, right now.
I know you are. I know you are.
Knockout within 6 rounds.
This fight in terms of payout makes sense if it was 2014. But it's 2020, and in the age of everyone making money, they didn't in this fight, and that's kind of weird. I get it, but it's kind of weird. Thoughts, guys, on Oubaali, Donaire pretty much being done, purse bid done, PBC winning it, obviously TGB Promotions winning it as well. So thoughts on where this could end up, and thoughts on obviously the overall payout that both guys are going to get. Gary,
I thought like what you did initially. Oh, okay, normal purses again, right? Like the guy that makes $50,000 can't buy the $1 million house anymore. But we're back to normal purses. But then something else told me, okay, the fight's not going to happen then. Like it's a reasonable purse, like 200-ish thousand for each fighter in a 118-pound scrap. Yeah, I mean that's kind of what it is, right? But now I just don't think the fight will happen. I think both guys will look to go other avenues, more lucrative options. I think, and maybe they can find, especially Donaire. Like, I think Donaire, based off his last performance, can get a bigger money fight than that.
Maybe. I don't know, Rob.
I think Donaire takes the bout and then unifies with to make it be undisputed with Inoue Part 2. I'm down for that. That's what I'm going with, because I think Inoue beats
Casamora.
Yeah, Casamora, which is apparently Inoue's done deal for Vegas.
April.
Capitalize on that Japanese Vegas market. And then
why is that fight not in LA or New York? I don't understand.
Or Japan.
That too. But I mean, there's Japanese.
Yeah.
There's Japanese.
Yeah.
Demographics in LA significantly. Or overall,
Japantown, right? Japantown.
There's no Japantown. We have a little Saigon in Chinatown. But I mean, the Japanese population's giant in LA. Same like the Korean population in LA is giant. So.
Yeah. So I'd imagine that would be, hell of a schedule. Shout out to Top Rank if they get Inoue to unify again and then go undisputed against Donaire in a repeat of what was considered fight of the year for many people. So, yeah, I don't see them walking away from this fight. Well, not. I don't think Donaire will. A chance to be a world champion again.
Now, I'm curious because you laid out a plan that I think Top Rank definitely has, right? That they want to bring back Inoue Donaire Part 2 on ESPN later down this year. Gary, to bring you back in the conversation, because you're in the US, obviously you have ESPN, so like you know this conversation a little more than Rob. Is that a actual realistic path to make Inoue a global superstar, to have that Donaire rematch on ESPN, put it in Vegas, New York, LA, and give it the push that maybe it probably wouldn't have gotten 10 years ago. But in this new paradigm, you have the money, you can afford to do it. Is that a realistic path to get Inoue to global superstardom? To frame the conversation better, maybe those are listening, because the first fight was on DAZN, and that's a very limited audience base. It just is, guys. Let's be honest about it. Let alone,
and it was like 3 a.m. in the morning, right?
Yes, it was at a ungodly hour. It was for the hardcore of the hardcores. You put that in LA or New York on ESPN, not ESPN Plus, ESPN. Could Inoue Donaire 2 propel Inoue to superstardom, or to his version of that, whatever that may look like?
Say yes, Gary, because that's the right answer.
I don't know if it's the right answer. It may not be. It's just a question.
I just looked it up. 110,000 Japanese in LA at 2017.
I feel like we did this before with Rigo and Donaire, and neither of them became a super. Like,
but that was Rigo, a guy that had a very defensive-minded style, and on top of that, let's be honest, Gary, they didn't give Rigo the push. Imagine if Bob Arum post that fight said that was the best boxing display we have seen since Ali. He's a mastermind technician. Oh my God, Regan Dow is the greatest Cuban boxer of all time, and they pushed him on HBO. Imagine what we've done. Imagine what Rigo would look like now.
I think they were putting their chips in that Donaire, because Donaire was icing everybody. I think they were thinking Donaire was going to stop him.
Yes, they were.
And that didn't happen. It was actually not a terrible fight. Donaire came back late and scored the knockdown and tried to get back in the fight. But like, I just don't know if 118 pounders are ever going to be stars. Like, I think like there's not an appetite for it in America. Like, there is in Japan, there is in the Philippines, maybe there is in Mexico. Like, because Donaire had everything you'd want in a superstar when he was coming up on HBO, when he was making his run. And it was like, it doesn't translate to people outside of the Filipino boxing fan and the hardcore. Like,
I disagree with that slightly for two reasons.
You're right.
I think the Donaire Rigo comparison is just a shit comparison for this fight, because ESPN is co-promoting Inoue. They were not co-promoting Rigo. Like, it's automatically a false start in comparison for that reason alone. I think everyone is smart enough to understand why it's a bad comparison for that reason alone. But for your point about the division being too low, I mean, that's always been a talking point. But just for argument's sake, and this is a weird argument to make, and follow me here, but in the UFC, obviously for men's 125, that was the lowest they've gone, is 125 pounds. They have not been successful there at all in building that into be a star power division, right? But for women at 115, they have made that into a hotbed for women's MMA and created a real star power out of Yana Jędrzejczyk, Paige Van Zandt, Rose Namajunas. They created stars in that 115-pound division that's also women fighting. So, I mean, look, we're talking about combat sports, the truly sexist environment here. You telling me that the UFC was able to make 115-pound women stars and headline pay-per-views, but 115-pound men can't? No, come on, this is boxing. This shouldn't work that way. Like, this is combat sports. It should work the opposite way, because that's just how sexist this industry is. But it didn't work there. I mean, it did work there in the UFC. I think it's possible. I think if you have, look, it's going to cost money. Like, marketing, PR budget is going to be high, but you have to push Inoue like you did Loma. And on top of that, get him wins against guys like Donaire again in a rematch on ESPN, because the Filipino market in America is a massive buying market in boxing. Not to the same way, but similar to like how Pacquiao endeared himself to the Mexican fan base, right? And Mexican Americans became Pacquiao fans. You endear Inoue to the Filipino American market through Donaire. Maybe even hell, you somehow, even though the relationship isn't there anymore, you get Inoue with Pacquiao training once. get a few pictures of that. You know, there's a path to connecting a overall Asian American market in America and make them become a fan of Inoue. K-pop is massive in America. You tell me that Inoue can't be a massive person inside that market, a market that I don't know shit about, but I know K-pop, Korean pop, is massive across all of Asian American demographics, not just Koreans. So I think it's absolutely possible to get Inoue to superstardom or to his version of that, not Pacquiao or Mayweather's version of that, but Inoue's version of that. Absolutely. Bigger than Lomachenko. Absolutely. It's just going to take something, and it's going to take them pushing it. And I honestly believe that it is possible. Like I never before thought you could make Inoue a superstar. But as I'm talking about, as Rob presented the thought process for probably Top Rank to make that Donaire rematch, it clicked. It is possible. I can see why they thought we can make Inoue a U.S. star or a global superstar. It's possible. It's hard. It's not guaranteed, but it's 100% possible. Just like AJ Fury making $150 million each in the UK. That's possible. You got to find a way. There's plenty of investors in the UK that would put money into that. Don't tell me there's not billionaires in the UK that put money down to, be a part of that. Don't tell me that, Eddie. So back to you, Gary. Sorry. I know I ranted for a second.
We're talking about the location of the fight. All right. To me, it's a West Coast fight. LA, it was probably where they would put it. But I also, Donaire's from the Bay Area. Right? I don't know. I mean, is there a big Japanese population in the Bay Area? I would think so.
I would assume so, because Angel Island was the main hub for most immigrants to the West Coast. And plus, Gary, I don't know if you know this, but the Bay Area is also the West Coast. So
no, I was saying, but when you say, okay, automatically going to put it in LA, but I was thinking, like, since Donaire is from San Francisco or Oakland or that area, the Bay Area, could that be a home for the fight?
You could. I've always thought for boxing, LA is better than the Bay, San Francisco, Oakland, because the media in LA is just automatically there. It's not in San Francisco. Secondly, you have just a higher population in LA comparative to the Bay Area. I would also maybe make this argument, maybe a wrong argument to make in terms of factual. I just don't know, but just my perception. In the Bay Area, especially San Francisco, not Oakland, but especially San Francisco, it's a highly affluent area. And I don't see a bunch of white collar, tech company people being boxing fans comparative to largely Mexican American, Asian American demographics in LA.
But Ward's done okay there, right? I mean, Ward's fights did okay in.
Define okay.
I don't remember. I mean, they did you
the Paul Smith fight that was in Oakland on BET.
Yeah.
From my recollection, did not do that well. I had just started coming to the sport when that happened, so I mean, God, I don't really remember that well, but I don't remember it selling well. I don't remember the TV viewership being well at all.
He also fought Kessler in Oakland, didn't he?
Yes, I don't remember.
But he was. I mean, he was not really known at that point. That was his coming out part. He was supposed to lose that fight.
The Bay has never really been a boxing town. It's unfortunate, but that's just the God honest truth. It's sort of like, in a weird way, like Boston has never really been a boxing town, like New York or Jersey or Atlantic City, right? Like, we still have fights in Boston. Still have boxers coming out of Boston, but it's not a fight town like New York is, or even New Jersey is, or like Newark is in New Jersey, or Atlantic City is in New Jersey. It's not the same. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's my perception of it.
It's absolutely, it absolutely is true. Yeah. So I guess the fight would make the most sense in LA. So which means they'll put it in Maryland, right? Because it makes no sense there. But I mean, to me, it's a West Coast fight. So I guess if you're saying like the market for that fight isn't in the Bay Area, then it would be LA. I would put the fight in LA. Again, I hope you're right. I hope that Inoue becomes a star. A, because he's great and deserves to be a star. B, because he's fun to watch. And C, because it would put more small weight class boxing on TV, which I'm a fan of, right? Like, if you gave fans Inoue, they would like him. But, like, for whatever reason, the American fan base doesn't get behind these really small weight classes. And I hope Inoue is the guy, the knockout artist that can change that. Maybe he is. It's just, I've seen so many small guys who are great never become stars.
Agreed. Quickly, we're going to run down these topics because it's late. I understand, Rob. I'm sorry. But this is the last show of the week. I didn't tell you guys this, but I'm going to be out of town till Saturday. So I know, I'm sorry. No Andrade Keeler reaction show. No Ugas Mike Dallas reaction show. I apologize, people. I'm sorry. But I know, especially the Andrade Keeler card, because, Ramon fight, the 10-farm fight. I definitely want to do a show on that, but I'm not going to be in town, guys. Apologies. Got other stuff going on. So this is the last show. So I do want to get to everything we can before we get out of here. So I'm going to run down these last topics.